red-green axis did not begin on a college campus. When I say red-green axis, I'm referring to this Muslim Marxist union. It began in the Kremlin during the Cold War. The Soviet Union built alliances with Arab regimes and radical Islamists to undermine the West, funding anti-Zionist propaganda, training terrorists, and turning Marxist ideology into a political weapon inside the Muslim world. That playbook never died. It just took on more faces, new faces, and migrated west. Today it includes China. Today that axis has a face now in New York City. Socialist Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani, backed by the Democratic Socialists of America and openly supportive of the BDS movement, is running for mayor. His campaign marries the class struggle language of Marxism with the anti-Western worldview of political Islam. We've covered it plenty on this show and on this network. Hollywood just gave it a cultural boost as of this week, and it's merged with a strange group. Jewish actor Mandy Patinkin and Catherine Grody appeared in an Instagram reel backing Mamdani's very, very inclusive vision for New York. Listen.
We are going to win this because we have this extraordinary human being who is going to lead our city and eventually, if we're really thinking, our nation and the world to a better, safer, all-inclusive existence. And that's what I love about this guy.
Now, considering the anti-Semitic bend of the Zoran Mamdani crowd, this is a very interesting union. But going back to the bigger picture, researchers have documented how Arabic language media and activism continue to blend Soviet-style propaganda templates with contemporary Islamist narratives inside Western institutions. The Red-Green Alliance operates in the U.S. using universities, unions, and advocacy networks to push shared goals against capitalism, Israel, and American power. Our next guest survived Islamic terror in Lebanon, founded Act for America, and built a national network exposing radical Islamism's reach into Western politics. Brigitte Gabriel, the one and only. Brigitte, it's so good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being with you again.
Brigitte, I can think of just a very small list of people who can speak to this topic better than you. You are one of the top voices warning for decades, for a long time, that America needs to watch out for the infiltration of Islamism into our daily lives and our cultural fabric. And I don't know that we've ever come as cozy with this entire situation as we are right now. What's going on?
Well, this is very concerning, and this is something I've been looking at and writing about for years. In my last book titled Rise in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedom, I dedicate a whole chapter about the Islamist leftist coalition. That's the title of the chapter. And it's all about how the left and the Islamists are working together as one against the United States. The book came out in 2018, Chanel, and this is what I talk about. And right now we are seeing this playing out basically on a major scale. We've seen it play out in London. We've seen it play out in major cities where Muslim mayors ran and got elected, whether in Germany, whether in Britain, whether in Western nations, that opened their arms to all this inclusivity, where Muslim mayors ran, like Khan in London, who ran on inclusivity and how he's going to change London. And sure enough, London is unrecognizable right now from the London that used to be prior to the election of Khan in England. Right now, Mamdani is promising the exact same thing. He's promising inclusiveness, diversity. We're going to not tax people. We're going to tax the rich. Everything is going to be for free. The exact same thing that was promised in London. And if history is any guide, people only need to look across the pond to know what's coming to New York unless they wake up today.
I remember first reading your work in They Must Be Stopped, the book, several books behind that, Rise. And it was incredible because you had such fearful vision of where this could go, where Islamic creep into the West could go, and how quickly it could happen. But I don't know that anyone's quite recognizing it right now unless they're looking at Ireland, unless they're looking at the UK. The UK, where, as you mentioned, they opened the door to this, to Islamic leadership, and the leadership is now, arresting people on the streets for walking their dogs because dogs are insulting to Muslims on their streets. So scenarios like that are happening in the West as we speak, but it happens so quickly. That is what is so mysterious to the rest of us, Brigitte.
Well, here's the thing. They say in business, we say a 20-year success, it takes 20 years to have an overnight success. So only now we're seeing it in America. People who are opening their eyes, they're saying, oh my goodness, this happened so quickly. It didn't really happen that quickly. To give you an idea, people now are concerned about the rise of Sharia law in Western nations, and especially in the United States. And I tell people, if you read my books,
yes,
the first Sharia law was introduced in the United States in 1991 in Texas, 10 years prior to 9/11. So we're talking now almost 35 years where Sharia law was introduced in the United States. And who ushered it into America? Texas. Nobody would believe it. Nobody would suspect it. And we have documented 22 states and 143 cases where Sharia law was tried in the United States instead of the Constitution of the United States. I'm sure people right now are shocked to hear this information. But this did not happen overnight. It started happening in 1991, 10 years prior to 9/11. So when you look today on what's happening in Detroit, Michigan, for example, in Michigan, the Islamic call to prayer 5 times a day, and the people are complaining. We don't want this. The same thing is happening in Minnesota because of the Somali Muslim community. So we're seeing the same thing happen in America that we saw and already seeing is playing out and have been playing out in Europe, in different countries that imported a large groups of Muslim population, whether they came as refugees, whether they came as illegal migrants who crashed into these cities and came in. And look what's happening in Europe right now. Look at the backlash. We are seeing people in Europe right now, movements rising against Islamic immigration because they already see their communities being transformed right before their very eyes. We're seeing the same thing happen in America. And that's why we are organizing. And you worked with me before. I can tell you that Act for America, my organization, is right now mobilizing patriots across the nation. Join us if you are concerned about the transformation of our country by not just the radical left, but also by the radical Islamists who are now working together with the leftists, using the left as the useful idiots to transform our country, to sabotage our country. Join us. Go to actforamerica.org right now. Check us out. Start a chapter in your community. We need right now to build up the firewalls that will slow this Islamic encroachment, leftist organization within our communities. And the only way we can stop it is when patriotic Americans like you and me and those who are concerned about these issues come together and start organizing in our own local communities to impact policy to make sure that these shenanigans that are happening right now in Europe do not start happening in the United States.
Brigitte, you have been on this before anyone else seemed to have been on it.
Decades.
And I wanted to, before I let you go, I want to ask you though, you mentioned the leftists who are being the useful idiots here. But, we saw this partnership with some very strange bedfellows throughout the conservative movement now, kind of aligning with this very anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian narrative. And when you zoom way out, it's a narrative that China and Russia would roundly endorse. And so you're hearing amazing former heroes inside the conservative movement also seeming to become these handmaidens for this very messaging. I don't get it.
Well, it is very troubling. At least they're not coming out for socialism. They may not agree with our policy and strong stand with Israel, but they are misguided on so many other issues. Because one, the Palestinian propaganda is a bunch of lies. Remember, Hamas controls the Ministry of Information, the Ministry of Health. They control basically everything in Gaza. So all the information that came out of Gaza for the last 2 years is basically lies in general. And so, unfortunately, people
Which,
in our
by the
country,
way, were organizations mirroring the CCP's organizational structure, which I don't think is a coincidence.
Exactly. And that's exactly why Russia focused on the Middle East and working with the Middle East, trying to create a counterbalance in the Middle East with Islamic countries against America and Israel, because they look at America and Israel as one unit. That's exactly why Russia, and now we see China also jumping on the bandwagon, were trying, especially for the last 4 years, to recruit the Arabic world. Thank God we have President Trump in office, who was able to expand on the Abraham Accord to include countries that we never thought will come to the table, like Qatar, like Syria right now. They are working on Syria, Lebanon, etc. So the tide is shifting, and I'm so happy we have a President Trump in office to do exactly that.
Brigitte Gabriel, a pleasure to visit with you, my friend. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for having me with you.
Coming up, a secret Stanford meeting linking U.S. tech and foreign regulators in a plan for worldwide speech domination. No, it's not a James Bond plot. This actually did happen, and we've suspected it for a long time, but now it's even more confirmed. Foundation for Freedom Online's Mike Benz gives us the details. We'll be right back.